yes, we had Phil McKinley on talking to us in the studio. What a charitable man he is, working to improve the lives of the homeless. And as Phil said, you get such a wonderful feeling when you are able to help somebody without wanting anything back. But if the more of us can do that, and as Phil said, if you want to find out more about what he's doing, check him out at his he has a food service that he gives to the unemployed and hopeless in front of NatWest Bank. So do check him out in Luton Town. Now, who have we got next? Yes, we've got Myrna Loy, a lady I came across, extremely talented, and she's going to share her experience in working with the United Nations and the Peacekeeping Commission. Hi, Myrna.
Hello there, Valma.
Thanks so much for taking the time to share your experience.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. You're a woman of many talents.
Yes, so they tell me. Yes, I will touch on my work with the United Nations. I left the UK in 1989 and I managed to secure a job in the Human Resources Department of the United Nations, and I stayed...
And how did you do that? Because a lot of people would love to work for these sort of organisations. How did you secure that job?
I think it was destiny because... No, I think it must have been destiny because I only had 3 weeks left on my visa. And I met somebody in a solicitor's office who said that if I went to the United Nations, as long as my visa was valid, they would be able to offer me a job. So when I went, they just lifted the ban on recruitment because there'd been a delay in Namibia. So I just happened to turn up on a day that they'd lifted the ban for recruitment and I got the job. Of course, it's not as simple as that. You have to do a test and, those kind of things, and you have to pass the interview. But yeah, that's how I got in.
Right, that's excellent. And you also work for the Peacekeeping Commission in Angola, is that correct?
Yes, I worked for the Peacekeeping Mission for a year in Luanda, Angola. Once again, I headed their Human Resources Department out there. But yes, it was quite, and I also was on the Board of Inquiry, which meant I had to investigate, brutality against civilians and also our staff.
Right. And having experience working for those two organisations and in working with people who are obviously in deprivation and so forth, what did you learn from that, and what did you bring into your life from that experience?
Well, what I noticed most of all was the children, because I never imagined that you could be afraid of them. In the UK, children are people that you nurture and you hold, and they're like babies, they're innocent. But when I was in Angola, they were survivors, and they were quite, because they were so forceful and articulate at such a young age, because the life cycle of the men in Angola was 27 at the time. It must have increased by then. So when you think about little young boys between 8 and 10, they were equivalent to our boys maybe of 19, 20. So they came over as little adults, which was quite scary, and we were told not to give them money because they would take our purses, they would rob us. So it was kind of a precarious situation to be in.
Right. And then, so having gained that experience, how have you used it in your own work? Because I know you're a counsellor, you're a qualified counsellor, are you not?
Yes, I'm a qualified counsellor. I think what happens is that when you've experienced so many different, well, working in the United Nations, you actually link up with all the nationalities in the world. So you're kind of clued in. It helps you to clue into all the different nuances of all the personalities. So I feel as though I'm much more empathetic than I might have been had I not gone to America and lived that kind of life. It kind of makes me a bit more compassionate with people who do need advice, and I'm able to kind of hone in, as you speak, as so to speak, on people's, you know, whether they're depressed or whatever it is they're going through. I'm actually able to feed through that just because of the experiences I've had while abroad.
Would you say that it hardened you at all, or has it made you more empathetic?
It would have made me more empathetic because I'm not really a hard person. I mean, I could be hard in the sense that, you know, I don't like to be taken advantage of, and I'll make a stance and I'd consider myself assertive, but it hasn't hardened my heart in any way.
And how has, because also you're a teacher, so in terms of you know, working with with the Peacekeeping Commission and as well as the United Nations, you mentioned, you know, working with young people. How has that shaped you as a teacher?
I think it gives me a more global viewpoint, perspective, and I think the way I teach or the way I engage with young people is from a less structured viewpoint. It's more to do with, I'd like to say, it's not empathetic, but it's more, I put myself more in their shoes, and I kind of I'm able to, I don't really teach like the curriculum as in a school. It's like lifetime skills. I teach lifetime skills, you know, how they survive in a world that we're in, those kind of things. I am a qualified teacher, but I've chosen to use the lifetime element because I think that's much more useful.
Yes, okay. And not only are you a teacher, you also are an author and poet, and written a book. And tell us a little bit about your book and what inspired you to write it.
Well, I've got 4 books published. The first one was The Other Side of Tourism, which was based on my experience as a British person going to Jamaica and having that kind of conflict, because my parents are Jamaican, and so I felt as though I was Jamaican, and I felt that everything about Jamaica was great. But when I went over there, I had conflict because, you know, they take their time and I'm very punctual. And, you know, some of the mannerisms I found a bit uncomfortable. But it just made me realise how British I was. Whereas before I went to Jamaica and spent that time there, I really thought I was Jamaican. You know, I'd speak the lingo and stuff. But it's amazing how you hone on to your roots when you're in a country where they call you foreigner or whatever they call you.
Right. And your magazine that you've initiated, tell us a little bit about that, and what's the theme, and who is it targeting?
Well, Black Bright News, I did that when I came back from America, because when I came back to the UK, I found that a lot of black people, to me, seemed quite lethargic and they didn't seem to have any passion or energy. Conversely, when in America everybody's get up and, well, not everybody, but the majority are get up and go, they've got a lot of pizzazz. And so when I developed Black Bright News, it was really for those people to motivate them and stimulate them, give them kind of role models to look at, and let them see other experiences. And so it was more or less sharing information that raises awareness about current events and how current events can influence you and motivate you. because even my daughters, my daughters, they were quite happy to come home at the time and, watch TV. And I found that was the trend with a lot of people. They'd come home, watch TV, they do their shopping, and they were quite satisfied with that. And I just felt that they had more to give. And I'm not sure whether my magazine did that, but at least it tried.
Excellent. I mean, really, you've got so much to offer. And how, in terms of our community, having experience globally, working with young people and observing, what do you think we need as a community in terms of making change? 2 weeks ago, every day there seems to be a stabbing in our black community. And there was a father about a week ago saying, what is the community going to do? What do you think the community can do? And where do you feel that we are lacking in terms of, do we take responsibility for what's happening in our community? What's your perspective on that?
I think people take children for granted. I think young people are not listened to. I think a lot of them, they witness a lot of trauma in the family, in the home, and they're not quite sure where to put that, all that frustration. And, a lot of them feel neglected. And, on top of that, there's peer pressure. And then it's compounded by, what they see on the TV and what they see in the movies and the games, the violence. And, I often wondered, when they see all that violence on TV and the people get up and they do another movie, whether in their heads they realise exactly what they're doing. Do they actually realise that they're killing people and these people are not going to get up and walk away and perform another part in a play? It doesn't work like that. So I think,
and having observed that, what do you think the community should be doing?
Like I said, they should be listening and looking at the signs of children. I saw a video of a young boy. He was 13 and he committed suicide, and he sent a video out before he killed himself, and he said it was because his friends, he was bullied at school, his teacher was too harsh, he found it difficult to learn, his aunt and the people in the home was calling him stupid, and he just felt as though he was worthless. And I'm not saying that happens in all homes, but I think we need to listen to our children more.
Yeah, okay. There was a very good conference on Saturday, and it was a men's conference. And unfortunately, there was hardly any men there. We could have counted them on their fingers.
Yeah, I went there as well.
A great opportunity. Were you there? I didn't see you.
Yeah, you because I was behind you.
Okay, and I thought it would have been a great opportunity if fathers and sons were able to come out and just listen. And hopefully, the organizer we encourage more men to attend and talk about some of these issues. But Myrna, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your talents, but also your experience and your perspective on how a community can look at working with their children.
Okay, you're welcome.
And where are you next doing your poetry?
Well, I haven't got any events booked this side. I mean, all this year is finished. I haven't got anything planned for next year, but I'm sure they will present themselves. Okay, then.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
For coming on, and that's a woman of many talents.
I wanted to mention the Tacit I thought the Tacit conference that you put on the other week was a brilliant conference.
Okay,
the one with Althea Wiggins, the Deputy High Commissioner, and we had a wonderful talk from Michael Olatunde from Rapid Business Finance. So I thought it was a very useful event.
Well, if you want to join us, because we're looking for volunteers, we're looking for people to help us to...
As you can see, my hands are full. I said, as you can see, my hands are full.
There may be other opportunities.
You're welcome.
And thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience and giving an insight into what people can do to make a difference. And you're surely making a difference with your magazine, but also the fact that you are a woman of many talents. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, that was